So we'll start. We'll continue with this. This is, as I told, that this is important from your examination point of view. Important in the sense one short note will be asked. So we were here and we are discussing what is MPS. MPS is nothing but production schedule. So this gives master production schedule gives you the requirement of the production schedule as per year. Then year is divided into quarters. Then quarters are divided into months, and then months are divided into weeks. So what are the requirements? So there are steps. So the other day we stopped at these steps. So step one is identify the requirements. Yeah, Neeraj, the screen is visible, no? Neeraj Jain. Are you there? Hello, Neeraj.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So step one is identifying the requirements. So in that, what is the quantity in hand? Means like suppose if I received an order of 100 pieces, how many pieces I have in hand? Then what is mentioned in the purchase order? Like suppose in the purchase order 100 pieces has been mentioned and I have in hand say 20 pieces. So I have to plan for another 80 pieces. Then I need to also check whether some order is going on or not, that is in parallel, like the same pieces but I might have committed to some other customers. So that other customers or requirement, if it is not urgent, then you can divert those pieces. If it is urgent, then you have to honor. So what is the overview of the MRP system? So you have at the center material requirement planning. Hmm. So the question that can be asked is like, what is the input and what is the output of the MRP? So what are the inputs? The input to the MRP is you need to have MPS, that is for the master production schedule. Then you need to have product structure file. That is product structure file will have product codes, and the codes will contain everything, all the details of the product. Then you need to have inventory master file, that is what is the inventory you have and where is the inventory lying, that is locations, etc. Then these are the inputs, and then what are the outputs of the MRP? You get orders, manufacturing orders. Then you issue purchase order based on these inputs. MRP will issue the purchase order, that is how many pieces to be ordered and how many and what is the time. And it also generates other reports, other various other reports. So as I said, what are the inputs? So inputs are product structure file, master production schedule, and inventory master file. So these are the inputs to the MRP. So the product structure file consists of codes, product codes, then how many sub assemblies goes into a particular product, and in the sub assemblies how many components are required in that particular sub assemblies. Like suppose if this is a gearbox, then gearbox may you have sub assemblies, say shaft and gears, various gears. Okay, and then in that how many gears are required. Or to the bigger scale, we can say suppose if this is an engine, uh, then engine may, what are the sub assemblies? You may have cylinder pistons, that is a sub assembly, and in that sub assembly, cylinder and piston sub assembly, you have components which are nothing but cylinder, piston, connecting rod, and so on. And again, in this component, again it is divided, which is not shown here, that which are the components which are directly available, that is purchase item, and which are the components which you need to manufacture. Like certain components like say bearings, oil seals, o-rings, those are available, nuts, bolts, those are available as the standard item, so that we call it as a purchase item, which will come under C1. Cylinder need to manufacture, piston you need to manufacture, connecting rod you need to manufacture, so that comes under the manufacturing item. So under manufacturing items you have to divide this component into purchase item or purchase component and manufacturer component. In purchase component you can straight away place an order to the shop, I mean to the shop wherever it is available, bearing shop, for O-rings manufacture, oil seal manufacture, and for manufactured items like say connecting rod, piston, cylinder, etc. For that again you will have to work out the raw material. So what will be the requirement of the raw material, and accordingly you need to place an order. So MRP process. So you need to prepare a schedule, and this is what is called the MRP matrix. Hmm. So what is the gross requirements? Hmm. Then you might have placed order with your supplier. You know, so that is what is called the scheduled receipt. So when you are going to receive it from the suppliers or from the outside traders like bearings, nuts, bolts, or gears. Huh? Suppose if you don't have gear manufacturing facilities, you might have ordered gear somewhere else. You might have ordered gear somewhere else. So when are you going to receive those orders? So that is what is called the scheduled receipt. Then projected on hand. So what do you have in hand? What is your inventory? How many you have? How many you are going to get? And then what is your net requirement? Like suppose gross requirement is say 100 pieces, you are going to receive 20, and in hand that is inventory is say 10 pieces, so 20 plus 10 30, requirement is 100, so net requirement will be 100 minus 30, that will be 70. And then you plan order. You planned order for the 70 pieces, and accordingly you release the order. Hmm. These are some definitions like item which are not that important. That is what is item, what is low level code. Lot size, yes, lot size is nothing but what is the uh, economic order quantity, or the quantity which you are going to uh, manufacture. That is what is lot size is. Then you have lead time, and then past due time bucket. That is uh, orders which are behind the schedule. Then it continues. That is what is the gross requirement, what is the schedule receipts. That is you already order the material and you are expected to receive it. How much you have, that is inventory, and then what will be the net requirement which I explained you just now. Hmm. So this is the product structure which we discuss. This is again same repetition, and as I said that you have to work backward. That is, this is 1 2 3 4 5. These are nothing but the weeks. Fourth week. So in fourth week my requirement is 20 pieces. So you have to work backward. Like I gave an example of examination. So master production schedule, it gives you the schedule of finished products. It gives actually production, and it has a trade-off of your customer orders and demand forecast. So MPS is prepared annually, then quarterly, then monthly, and then weekly. Then inventory master file. So inventory master file gives you what is on hand quantities, that is what is there in your bucket in store, then what has been ordered, then what is the lot size, what is the safety stock or buffer stock, then what is going to be the lead time for the components which you need to order and which is going to be required in the assembly. See, this what we are talking is like you want to manufacture a vehicle, and what you are talking all this inventory. That is, you need an inventory of chassis, you need an inventory of car body, then gearbox, manual gearbox, then propeller shaft, etc., etc. So what we are talking is this, no, inventory master file. So inventory master file of chassis, of the gearbox, of the propeller shaft, of the rear axle tubes. Hmm? And again, rear axle tube or differential is made up of different components. Hmm? And suppose if you don't have those components, then you'll have to order it from your supplier, or you have to manufacture in-house. So what we are discussing is the components which are required for your final assembly. Hello? Hello? Yeah? Yeah. Good morning. Yeah. Yeah. अच्छा. हाँ. जरा मेरे को मैसेज करो ना. So now MRP2. So MRP1 discusses about the inventory. It discusses about the inventory. That is stock items what are required. Now MRP2, it is your manufacturing resource planning. Most of the time students, they are confused with MRP2. So MRP2 also they try to relate with material requirement planning. So the MRP2 is nothing but is not material requirement planning, but it is manufacturing resource planning. And resources, resources means it is your plants, equipments, processes, peoples, machines. These are all called as the resources. So it's an improved ordering method, MRP2. Then you need to do priority planning, and it is a closed loop. That means it is always checked, and accordingly the feedback is given. So what is improved ordering method? So improved ordering method is your computerized MRP systems that represents a tremendous improvement in the ordering of the raw materials and components. So it's totally computerized. And when we talk about manufacturing resource planning, it is applicable to your entire factory. The speeds, accuracy, that is completed by the planning department. So you have a separate production planning and control department. So priority planning it again and work of, or it's a work of people, that is production planning and department. So many times it happens that you need to change the schedule, delivery schedule, because of the priorities, and it will always happen because The current scenario is competitive. So you have to take the rush orders, you have to take the emergency orders. You cannot say no, otherwise you are losing business. Now, what do you mean by closed loop MRP? That various functions in production planning and control, that is a capacity planning, inventory management, shop floor control. hmm, So they are integrated into a single system. So as I said, you keep on taking the feedback here. So here we always take a feedback from the suppliers, that is also called as the vendors. Also take a feedback from the production shop, because there can be unforeseen circumstances like machine breakdown, then absenteeism, then raw material shortage. So this you need to always check. You cannot say that everything is running smoothly and you will get a smooth output. So this feedback is required. In the festive season, the absenteeism is more. Machine breakdown, you don't know when the machine will break down. Then raw material shortage, and sometimes when we are working on JIT philosophy, hmm, something goes wrong with the supplier end and you may not have received the raw material, or the raw material received is not of the correct quality. Something else has been dispatched, or there can be shortage also in the quantity. So these things keep on happening, and for that the feedback is necessary. So it is nothing but a link up between the closed loop MRP system and the financial system of the company. So it also considers the finance. It considers the finance. So it has two basic characteristics, that is it is an operational and financial system, and it is a simulator. Hmm. Means simulator means it will simulate. It will give the entire schedule, hmm, with the given inputs, what outputs you are going to get and when you are going to get. So to summarize, MRP is a computerized inventory control. Hmm. Production planning and control has a big role in that. Hmm. Then it schedules the component items as needed. It tracks the inventory. So it will give you at the end what quantity is required and when. Like say you need 100 meters of diameter 25 round bar. Considering the orders, considering the stock in hand, considering the expected orders, it will give you totality में that now you need 100 meters of diameter 25 round bar, MS round bar, and it will also tell you that when you need to place an order for this 100 dia round bar. So that was MRP, and this is the word content of presentation which I have already uploaded. So this will be helpful for your examination. That is, it gives you what is manufacturing. It also covers some part of your form, that is productions and operation management. Whenever you have to ask six essential questions for manufacturing, that is what is to be made, how many and when, what are the resources required, which are readily available, which orders will be available in time, and what more will be needed and when. This is some history. Just if you are academically interested, you can go through it. Examination point of view, it is not important. Then there are types of inventory which we discuss, that is manufacturing inventory, distribution inventory. I'll just slip through this, Then what are the traditional methods of inventory planning? Stock replenish, order point techniques, ABC. And what are the disadvantages and flaws in the order point technique? So order point is equal to nothing but demand during the safety stock. This also we discussed in presentation. Disadvantages of OP techniques, order point techniques. So this is just a word file of the presentation. Hmm. And both presentation as well as word file has been uploaded in the classroom. These are fundamental concepts in MRP. That is, so this running text will be helpful for you to write the answers. What are the prerequisites of MRP? Hmm. In MRP, MPS is most important, Master Production Schedule. Then bill of material, that is another output MRP gives. How MRP works? MRP works backward. That is, what is the delivery date and when I have to place an order for the raw material. Like say delivery date, this is in the fifth week. So that is say P1, that is product P1 has to be delivered in fifth week and quantity to be delivered is 20. So, and say the raw material which are required uh, per product, like one product, if it needs say two bearings, so altogether I will need 40 bearings. So this will give you when you should order 40 bearings, whether you should order in week 1, week 2, week 3, so that there is no stock or there is less inventory on the shop. This is what the beauty of MRP is. So it avoids stacking of the inventory, and when it avoids the stacking of the inventory, it means money, isn't it? These are the important terms that also we saw in the presentation. The different how MRP ties with the planning, that is with the production planning and control department. And then conclusion. In conclusion, what are the features of MRP? What are the benefits of MRP? So many benefits are there. And what will be the future of MRP? So you have some disadvantages of MRP. Mm, ERP is output of MRP. So by default, MRP 1 is nothing but material requirement planning, and MRP 2 is manufacturing resource planning. And when you say only MRP, so it is nothing but only MRP is nothing but MRP 1, that is material requirement planning. That you should remember. Hmm? These are some references if you want to study in deep. So it is Russell is very good book. Russell and Taylor, Operation Management. Publisher is Prentice Hall. Then you have McGraw-Hill also by George Purcell. That's also very good book. So again, in SIM you have CMM. Just have a look on this machine, and the full form of CMM is Coordinate Measuring Machine. If you wish, you can draw it also, because again, it's a second popular questions in the short note from SIM, mostly in question number 6. So coordinate measuring machine looks like a milling machine, but it doesn't have any cutter. Always computerized control. It will have three axes: x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. So the movements will be, look at this saddle. So saddle will move in this direction, that is longitudinal direction, and it is called as the x-axis. Then perpendicular to x-axis, that is this bridge, which is going to move in this direction, that is perpendicular to the plane, this plane. So that is y-axis. And then another is z-axis, that is moving this up and down. This z-axis will have a device which is called as the probe, or it is also called as the optical probe. Renishaw probes are most popular. This optical probe can be used on your CNC lathe and milling machine also for setting the work offset and tool offset. So the probe is mounted here in this z-axis, and the component or the object is kept on this table. And this table is made of made up of granite. So you will have some fixed program for measuring bores, for measuring cylindricity, for measuring perpendicularity, as well as for checking other dimensions like groove width, outside diameter, inside diameter, all those. So either if it is a mass production, like suppose if you want to check many components, for which normally we don't use CMM, because if you have to inspect many component, then you go for plug gauges or slip gauges. But if your batch size is less, and the requirement is very critical, uh, accuracy requirement is critical, then CMM is the answer. So in that case, if you have a batch of say 10 pieces or 20 pieces, then you program what is to be checked. That is, you have kept a component here, say let's say hollow component, a piston. So the you will program for checking the OD, you will program for checking the ID, you will program for checking the groove, groove width, etc., etc. And then probe will move according to the program. You have a computer here which is connected to this. This is for the machine tool, and you have a computer here. So as per the program, the probe will move and it will inspect, and it will give the report dimension. So this is totally unmanned or automatic. When the one component is over, then you can load another component, second component, third component. So the way you do, milling. So similarly, here you are inspecting the components in batches or in mass production. Another way is you can do it manually. Like suppose if the quantity is less, that is very few pieces, and all pieces are say different. It's not same. It's not same pieces. It's not repetitive pieces. So in that case, you can do manual inspection. That is, in such case, what you have to do, it is similar the way you do your work offset on your machine. So you are resting a workpiece here, your component or your object is kept here, and then a probe with the is used to touch the component. Probe is used to touch the component. Like say suppose if I want to check the outside diameter of a component of a cylinder. So the cylinder is kept here, And if you want to check the outside diameter, then minimum three touch are required. That is, with the probe should touch on the circumference at least at three places or comfortably four places in order to get more accuracy. Hmm? Or you can touch it at five pieces also, six pieces also. So that will give you the outside diameter. If you touch at two places, that is here and opposite, you may not get the diameter. You may get the chord. You may get the chord, but you will not get the diameter. So at least you have to touch it at three places. So the control will calculate and will give the diameter. So this manual touching is very important. At the same time it is risky also, because when you are touching manually the probe to the component, you have to see that you don't dash or you don't bang the probe to the component, otherwise your probe will get damaged. If you are touching speedily, then it will get damaged. So you have to very carefully, that is, you can move rapidly the probe, and moment it comes near to the workpiece, then you can slowly you can touch it. And moment that probe touches the workpiece, the light, because it's an optical probe, the light will lit. It means it is touched. Then you can retract it, lift it up, and then touch it at another places. So like that the reading is taken. So again, this is a word file which I have uploaded on the classroom. So introduction means what is inspection, what is testing, why this is a typical question, that why we need to go for computer aided inspection, that is CAI, why not manual inspection. Obviously the computer aided inspection is accurate. Hmm. It will give the consistency in results, results same and same, because when you're doing traditional or say manual inspection, then it may be tiring, and operator may make mistake because of the fatigue and because of the monotonous work. This is not in case of computer aided inspection. Hmm. Then you have computer controlled inspection equipment. That is what is nothing but your CMM, that is coordinate measuring machine, which I show. And then there are different types of CMM, coordinate measuring machines. Usually CMM machine requires um, controlled environment. Controlled environment means in terms of temperature, in terms of wind speed, it should be enclosed. There should not be any stray magnetic fields, or there should not be any vibrations near about. Means you should not carry, there should not be welding shop near to the CMM, or there should not be any press shop. Press shop may tap 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 tap. So that is going to uh, hamper the accuracy. You will not get the accuracy, as well as the machine also will get damaged. Then humidity inside the room, that AC room, also has to be controlled. Temperature, of course, temperature, wind speed, humidity, all these factors are required. And remember, you may, when the accuracy is very high, that is when you're talking about 5 microns on 10 microns, that time too you have to be very, very careful, very, very careful, because that inspection has to be carried out at certain temperature, at certain wind speed, at certain humidity. So the customer will specify, or if he has not specified, then you have to ask, because there may be variations. Because now suppose if you are inspecting a particular piece at a particular temperature, speed and humidity, and once you deliver these components to the customer, so the at the site, at the site The temperatures, humidity may be different, and metals they have properties of expansions, contractions, etc., etc. So there will be variation in the sizes. So you have to tell customer this is the environment in which I have inspected and measured this. So the same size you will get if you are measuring your component in this environment only. Hmm. Like I have measured here at 15 degrees Celsius and your site temperature is say 35 degrees Celsius, then you will not get the same outside diameter. There will be definitely variations. Hmm. So it is also called as the computal metrology. Hmm. This CMM will give different reports, that is how the datum establishment should be or how you can establish the datum. Then it also gives you report about deviations. Hmm. It will assess the deviation, how to assess the deviation. You can measure surface roughness, you can measure surface finish. It also helps you to diagnosis your manufacturing process. Convolution of functions and convolution of sets, hmm, that we ignore. Then it is very useful for your contours, measurement of the contours, that is shapes, which is not possible to measure by your gauges or by your conventional instruments or equipments. Like consider automobile shapes, contour on the top, on the roof, or on the bonnet. Hmm. You'll have to make the gauges, radius gauges, but that contour is different at different places. It is basically a nerve, non-uniform diagonal surface, or it can be a Bezier curve, or it can be a B-splines. So it is very difficult to measure that contour by conventional instruments. So in that case, only CMM can measure that contour or that profile and will give you the deviation. So the contour means, I mean like hmm, this type of curves. So only CMM is the answer. No other way to check, because the profile goes on changing. There is a variation of the profile, lot of variation of the profile. Another example of CMM is, this is what a probe is, and this is what different things you have to measure. Like suppose if you want to measure this dimension, outside dimension, or this dimension, or this width, or this width, or inside diameter of these holes. So this probe will measure this particular component in not more than 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes is sufficient to measure this component. Another important use of CMM is digitizing, that is digitization. Like suppose if you don't have a drawing and you received a profile component, let's say take an example of mouse. Everybody has seen the mouse, and mouse has a very nice contour, a very nice profile on top, and you don't have drawing and you don't know how to prepare. Your boss tells you that you make a drawing for this, but now there are so many contours that how you will measure and how you will put it on the drawing. So in that case, what we do, we take this component on CMM machine and we take readings with the help of a probe at different places, at different places, maybe 10 places, maybe 50 places, maybe 100 places, depending upon the accuracy. And then CMM will give you a series of points. It will give the complete profile, It will build the equation also for you, and it will build a surface also for you. Simultaneously, it can be machined also on CNC milling, because these points, whatever points has been generated by CMM, can be transferred to the milling machine, and the machining also can commence. So this is what the most important use of CMM, and this is called as the digitizing. This process is called as the digitizing. So instead of starting a new topic now, because it's only 3 4 minutes left, we can start it on the in the next lecture. If you have any doubts, you can ask. uh, and if you are not completed this drawing, you may complete this drawing. Now, different type of CMM are there. Like now, this is your bridge type machines. You have machines, box type machines. Then you have cantilever type machines. But generally, this is the most popular machines. Normally, the question which can be asked is, what are the advantages of CMM? Hmm? Just draw and explain. Draw need sketch of CMM. Need sketch of CMM means this is enough, and explain the working and how does it works and what is digitizations, etc., etc. So maybe for 4 marks or for 5 marks. But it's a repetitive question.